Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining me or joining us this morning. First off, apology. Somehow I managed to disable Q&A this month. So if you do have questions, please either raise a hand or put something in chat, and Henry's on hand to answer. Otherwise, of course, please follow up with support or in the usual way. Um, I'm going to wait just a few moments to allow some latecomers to arrive. Uh, but you should all be looking at a screen of the latest version of Rentman. This 372, I think it is numbered at the moment. It will be general release probably tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then certainly by Monday. It's got a few extra features in it for the renters' rights, and I'll walk through those now. Right, well, the first thing, um, people's still arriving. Well, the first thing to point out is the tree view in England has changed under tenancies. We now have tenancies coming to an end, and I've got nothing here in the test data, as you can imagine. That is going to show you tenancies where you have actually terminated and you know people are moving out. So we can progress through there, and that's a reminder that people are moving out. But the most important thing right now is this information sheet being required. And it's a new item in the tree view. Click this and you will see all of your extant tenancies that are at the moment assured short hold tenancies will be listed there. And defaulted, already ticked to be sent, the managed properties. You are only responsible for the managed properties, but you may choose as a service to let-only landlords to also send to your let-only tenants. It's worth pointing out that you are required to send the information sheet if you are the managing agent, even if the landlord has already sent it. That's explicitly stated in the regulations. So you must send an information sheet if you are managing the property. And you'll do it here. We click send, and then down here under send, we're doing it in bulk, not individually. You can right click to say not required, and it'll come off this list, should you know better. But we're sending in bulk. So all those that are sent, you go down here to the send button, usual way with these things, and you can send this information sheet by email, by rSign. I don't have DocuSign set up on this Rentman, or by rMail. Now, you can send by email. That's perfectly legitimate way to doing things, and it's free. And you don't get. And the important thing here is that you need proof of having served the information sheet. And an ordinary email doesn't give you easy proof. I mean, it's probably good enough if you were able to get the mail headers and logs from your mail server and such like, but it's a palaver. And you may not know for a year or so that you actually need that proof. So although it's good enough, you might have trouble getting the proof, which is why we'll come to registered mail, rMail, in a moment. You can send via rSign or DocuSign if you already have those set up in Rentman. But it's worth saying that you don't need a signature. The important thing here is that you need proof that you have served it. Not that they've received it, much less that they've actually read it. You just need proof that you served it. So you don't need a signature from DocuSign or rSign. So you may be spending more money than you actually need to do that. It's also worth saying, and this was on the log yesterday, and it's a bit pedantic, but I'll mention it. The regulations say that you have to actually send either a paper copy or a PDF attachment. A link to the file is not good enough. Well, of course, with DocuSign and rSign, you are only ever sending the link for them to connect to and do the signature. They don't get the PDF until it's all signed and finished and done at the end. So the point is here, you haven't served it until they've signed it. And if they don't sign it, well, you need to chase them because they need that PDF attachment. So in that case, the registered mail becomes so much easier because you have proof that it was sent, and proof is good enough. Um, Now, what I've done, rather than require everyone to create their own Rmail account, you will have seen an email about this. Rather than require everyone to create their own Rmail account, there is one RentMan account, and you can all use that by clicking that. Off it goes, registered email. You will get a receipt, which is legal proof that the email was actually sent. And RentMan will bill you at the end of the month. I'll show you in a moment how you see how much money you've spent so far. Because you're using the RentMan account. So I've pre-purchased this account, and I'll cross-charge you afterwards. It's much simpler than everyone setting up their own account in the remaining few weeks. The or you can print it. That's easy to do as well. If you want to, if you've got local people you want to go and think, but don't forget you need proof. So if you are going to give people a paper copy, you need to take a photograph of yourself doing it or some such, which is why the registered mail becomes so much easier. You can see how much you've been spending on the registered mail over here on the system. Show chargeables. Click that and with a date range, and you get a thing, and you can see where I've been spending 65 pence on testing these emails, and £1.30, £1.30 because there were two recipients. So you can see your chargeables there should you wish. What that is sending is a package. This update creates a normal document package, and we can see it here, the RRA information sheet, and that contains the government's PDF and a cover letter. Now, that cover letter is pretty basic. I'm assuming you're going to, it's good enough, but I'm assuming you're going to want to change it yourselves, in which case you go in here and in documents, the usual way, RRA cover letter, and here it is. Please find attached the government's information sheet informing you of changes to your tenancy at, and then the property address. Anything within those chevrons is mail merge, don't touch, or at least get support to touch with you. But feel free to change the wording in there, should you so wish. But that's what's being sent by this button, that package. As I've been saying in the on the blog, which I imagine everyone has discovered by now, Training for Professionals are saying don't send until the 1st of May. You have to send it by the 31st. You have to have served it by the 31st, but they're recommending you don't send it until the 1st. The problem is that the government has a habit of updating these things before the deadline, and if a new version of this comes out, you'll have to send that as well before the 1st. If a new version comes out before the 1st of May, you'll have to send that as well. So wait till the 1st of May and you'll be fine. Next on our list is, I'll come to rent reviews afterwards, but next on our list is the agreement. I have the new agreement. It's here in for a document update. But before I get to that, I will just point out that when we look at properties, we have now, for the section 8, the form 3A, you need to This is the Form 3A you're all familiar with, I'm sure, is how we now get rid of it's the Section 8 notice to tell tenants you want them gone, and this is the reason why. And there are a number of reasons, a number of grounds for removing them. The only two grounds you have to tell them about in advance, you have to notify ahead of time. Now, ground five, a minister of religion, you need the property because the minister of religion is going to live in there, and the student accommodation one for ground 4A. Those both need to be notified ahead of time, which means that on the 1st of May, if they are applicable to any of your properties, you need to send these notices. All right, I'll repeat that. If ground 5 or ground 4A is appropriate for any of your properties, you need to send the new notice on the 1st of May to those tenants. If you ever hope one day to issue a Section 8 using because of that ground. The system works exactly the same way as it always did in RentMan. You take here what has to be pre-notified, always relevant to this one property. And then when we get to the deal screen, RentMan will tell you which ones you're supposed to be sending for the new tenant, pre-notify. I think there's a video, a training video for that. If there isn't, there soon will be. The new grounds are in there. I was copying and pasting them off the government website yesterday. So this new version will have all the wording for all the new grounds for you. And as I say, the same as before, you can issue your Section 8 notice through the RentMan print screen, and it will automatically bring the appropriate legal wording into the notice for you. We'll look at the contract now. The new agreement has come out. As I said, it's already there for you to update should you wish. It may get revised, so we'll let you know if it changes between now and the 1st of May, but it has been tested and it looks pretty good. A couple of things I'll draw to your attention in this new document. It's fairly similar to the old one, I mean, but the important thing is, as you know, you are required with this tenancy to provide a written statement about certain aspects of the tenancy. As I expected, this will not be a separate document. Training for Professionals are not producing a separate document. They've included it in the agreement, and there's a good reason for doing that. You don't want two different versions of documents on your system and one contradicts the other. So it's always good to have just the one document doing these things, as with the prescribed info for the tenancy schemes. But what did surprise me is rather than have a separate section with a written statement, they've done this. They've put an asterisk they have it in line in the agreement. They put an asterisk in front of every paragraph that constitutes the written statement, which I've drawn your attention now because if, like me, you start going through it and think the asterisk just means it's an optional thing that you have to think about whether you want to cut and paste it or not. Because, of course, you start going through it without reading the instructions. Here it is. So certain clauses in here have an asterisk, and these form the written statement. If DFP are doing this, this is good enough. I'm sure David will have confirmed this with the government people. So that's what all these asterisks are throughout. There's only about half a dozen of them, but that's what it means. It's part of the written statement, and we particularly draw that to the tenant's attention. One other thing I'm going to draw to your attention at this point is this clause. And I mention it again, this is something I put on the blog yesterday. And again, it's very pedantic, but this is a literal interpretation of what this means. And it's, even if you choose to ignore it, especially if you choose to ignore it, it's worth understanding what this means. The first rent is payable after the tenancy agreement has been entered into. Now, the definition of entered into means all the parties have signed it. That causes a bit of a problem for you if you don't have vacant possession of the property. If the tenants are moving out and the new tenant's moving in on the same day, you, according to this, cannot receive the rent for the new tenants until everybody's signed. You don't want the landlord to sign until you've got vacant possession, because if the landlord does sign and the old tenants decide not to move out for whatever reason, the landlord is obliged to find alternative accommodation for the new tenants, which gives you a very short window of time for you to actually sign the agreements because the old tenants have moved out, receive the money, and then move people in. It may be worth giving yourself a week's notice so you can be sure of vacant possession and get this done. Read the blog, get your own legal advice. If it ever comes to court, if you ever went to court with this, who knows what a court would decide if you took the rent a few days early. But I'm sure no one here wants to be the test case. And we won't know until a court has ruled. Anyway, I draw it to your attention, and it is good pedantry, but that's what it says. The next thing we will talk about is the rent review. So back here on Rentman, close this down. We have the rent reviews due. Now, what this is telling us is, when you look at this on your own data, you'll see this is going to give you every tenant where the last rent increase was more than 52 weeks ago. So you may see some very old tenancies in here, where the last rent increase was 3 or 4 years ago. They will be flagged on here as review and with today's date. Now, what you can do for all of those is right click, and you can postpone a rent review for 3, 6, or 12 months. You know your tenants, you know your landlords, you know the situation. So you can pick and choose there, and then these properties will come off this list for that amount of time, and then they'll come back on, and you can say, well, do we need to do a rent reviews now? I don't have yet the new section 13 notice. There is a draft been published to the government website. Training for professionals are proofreading. I was talking to David Dalton Gibson yesterday, and he was proofreading the documents. So I'm expecting to have them today or tomorrow. And as soon as I do, I'll bring them in. I'll bring them into Rentman. But they're not. But they're not there just yet. The actual process of doing a rent review is, I haven't built into Rentman yet. First things first, we'll do the information sheet. You've got the new agreement. Here's the ones that are due for a rent review. The actual process of doing a rent review, I'm not sure what that's going to look like in Rentman, because much like disputed deposits, all the action takes place outside of Rentman. So I'm not quite sure yet how Rentman's going to be able to help you with that process if a rent review goes to a tribunal. I'll be looking for feedback on that as to what is worth recording in Rentman and how Rentman can help you through that process. But that's going to be phase 2 after the 1st of May. But please, any ideas on that? Any feedback? Please do let me know. I'm looking to see. I think those are the big things we've got there. Oh, it's worth pointing out here, non-APT tenancies expiring. These are any, at the moment, anything that's not an assured short hold tenancy, garages, parking spaces, commercial and everything like that. Well, you've still got the same procedure involved for those. And so that has been renamed. I've got and you get expiry letters. Oh, there's some expiry letters due for that one. It must be a commercial. And those that are going to be renewed. So that whole mechanism still exists. Obviously, no Section 21 because that's not appropriate for anymore. But those commercial ones are still there should you need them. Now, a lot of the other lists will have changed a little bit in that the regulation is quite keen that none of the screens, none of the displays, none of the advertising, nothing suggests that existing tenancies are still on a fixed term. So I've got rid of the end date from all of these lists. And it'll be also be missing from Rentman Online. The tenancies shown on Rentman Online, no more end dates. It's very keen that the government's very keen that there's no suggestion of that. So if you've marked it to be terminated, the ending will show here. Otherwise, it's showing as a first start and it's an assured periodic tenancy because all of these are assured periodics. It now looks like the 1st of May is the commencement date. I wasn't convinced that the government weren't going to postpone this, as they've done with other legislation changes in Wales, typically, for example. So if the 1st of May is a go, then Rentman, probably this weekend, the housekeeping will go through and mark all your short-hold tenancies as periodic and as assured periodic tenancies. It'll do that automatically for you. So they will all be, and the end date will then disappear off the tenancy screen and all of these. But these screens also show you the last increase as well as the usual information. You've got landlord's telephone numbers, and it is an APT. It's ending here, and this was when the last increase was, and they all do similar things as the same. But the important thing is they're flagged as an APT, and there's no end date anymore. Okay, one thing I am going to mention at this point, and it's not related to this at all, but this general release version that's coming out tomorrow or at latest on Monday also includes built-in referencing, should you wish it. It uses Forensis at the back end, but you don't need to subscribe to Forensis. It's built into Rentman now, and again, it'll come up as a chargeable item, that menu and that button over here on system. When you go through the deal wizard, first time through, Rentman will prompt you. If you don't have Forensis or any of the other referencing companies already set up in Rentman, you'll get a little prompt from Rentman. Do you want to do this automatically? And if you answer yes the first time, it'll automatically do it thereafter. The important thing is that this is, if you have a Forensis account, keep using it because this built-in referencing is using Rentman's own account, and you won't be able to log into it to see the progress. If you need to check the progress, you can click the refresh button on the references tab in the normal way. But if you do need it, then contact our support, and they will log in and see what's going on if it's been delayed. Forensis, I was talking to them a lot over the last few weeks, and they've refreshed, they've updated their API a little, so we should be getting responses very, very quickly, particularly over here on the landlord screen for anti-money laundering. There is an AML check built into the landlord screen now, and you can just click that and off it goes. And that should come back pretty instantaneously because, as I understand it, it just goes to Equifax and does certain online checks. But it doesn't need, the important thing is with tenants, the tenants have to log in and fill and upload all sorts of documents and such like, and that's typically where the delay is. That's not appropriate for a simple AML check for your landlords. Anyway, I mentioned that, nothing to do with renters' rights, but it is included in this new version. So don't panic if you get a prompt first time you go through the deal wizard to create a new tenancy. That's as much as I have to go through at the moment. As I said, as soon as the section 8 and 13 notices, Form 3A and Form 4 have come, they'll be built into this version and they'll be there. This will be coming out over the next day or two. This new version will be coming out over the next day or two for you to look at in the first instance, I'm sure, this information sheet required. But the important thing is don't send it till the 1st of May. Everybody send it. Going to be a lot of emails going out on the 1st of May, but you've got till the 31st to do it. But you might massage the list in between while as to which ones are not required and which ones are. Okay. That's everything to be gone through now. If anyone has got any questions, please raise a hand and we'll try and answer it here and now. But otherwise, please contact support and please go through the blog because I've been posting almost every day at the moment. Paul, you're there. Let me just click this. Hi, Paul. You can now talk, I believe, or you're on mute. If you don't have a microphone, type into chat and Henry will answer. I'm going to lower your hand. Mark, you're there. I'm going to ask you, and I'm asking you to unmute. Are you there? Hello? Yeah, this is working terribly well. Diana, I'm going to come to you now. And again, it thinks you're on mute. I'm sorry, Diana, Mark, Paul, I can't hear you. Oh, Mark, you are not showing muted anymore. Can you speak? I'm not hearing you. Henry, are you able to hear?
No, not hearing anyone at the moment.
Okay, well, I'm hearing you, which means my sound system's set up. Okay, Mark, it says you're not muted, but we can't hear you. I'm sorry about that. Leah, you're there. Let's see if asking you to unmute. Can I hear you, Leah? I'm sorry, everyone. If everybody's having this, it might be a problem with Zoom that we've not experienced before. So I'm going to ask you to either type your question into the chat or send an email to support or live chat or the usual support contact, and we'll try and answer your question there. Anything any answers that I think are of general relevance, I will post to the blog. So the new version of Rentman, you may have noticed already, is taking you to the blog if there have been updates. So you should all have seen that, and I will post any of these, any answers to these questions that we're not hearing, I will post there. Okay, well, I'm sorry to have to end on that note, but there we are. Okay, so I'm going to sign off now. So just a quick recap. You will be getting a new general release version tomorrow or Monday at the latest. And don't keep an eye on the blog and don't hesitate to contact support or me direct if you have any questions. But I am talking to David Dalton Gibson on a regular basis, and I will be updating the blog as soon as with anything that's interesting or that I think you need to know. All right. Thank you all very much, and talk to you soon. Bye now.